Joining us now from his home in Sacramento, actually, is Warriors beat writer for The Athletic, Anthony Slater. Anthony, how's it going?
I'm very good. Now I'm covering, the playoffs from a more national perspective because no Warriors in the playoffs, which kind of is a surprise.
Anthony, before we get into the offseason, did Steve Kerr, do you think, get as much out of this roster as he possibly could?
Depends on what part of the roster we're talking. Do I think he did a great job with James Wiseman this season? Not really. I don't think it was a conducive environment to a 19-year-old raw rookie who really needed minutes and opportunity and an environment to make mistakes. He pulled him in and out of the starting lineup. At one point, he got benched, and then he was back in, and that didn't go that well. And that is an underlying story as we move forward. Like James Wiseman's first season not going great, but once he got hurt and was out of the picture and Steve Kerr started prioritizing development and veterans and high IQ players, I think he got the best out of the team you saw at the end of the season that went 15-5 and basically put themselves on the doorstep of beating the Lakers in Staples Center if a couple breaks go this way or that way.
Anthony, let's talk offseason. You wrote that a massive swing is not necessarily needed for a roster that already houses 4 max contracts. If a massive swing is not needed, what would you do?
Well, first, you got to see with Klay Thompson. They're paying a max guy with $67 million the last 2 seasons. He's played 0 minutes. They need Klay Thompson to be 80% of himself, 75% of himself, or they're not getting in the title picture regardless if he doesn't return to that type of form. I don't think a star is going to become available. If one does, you do have James Wiseman to dangle out there. You do have 2 first-round picks likely because you're going to have the Minnesota pick unless it falls top 3. So you could make a swing, but I'm just saying I don't think it's going to be available. If it's not available, I think you need to get veterans. Think about the Lakers game that they lost. Who swung that game in the second half? Wesley Matthews, who's like the 11th man on the Lakers bench, because Frank Vogel had that type of guy in reserve. The Warriors didn't have those type of veterans. They had projects on the end of their bench, rookies, guys they found in the G League, just guys who aren't going to win at that level.
You mentioned already that the idea of trying to develop Wiseman in the starting lineup didn't work. Now he's going to miss the offseason, a critical juncture for him. He's got value, though. Would the Warriors consider trading him to get the massive deal?
I don't think they're necessarily going to shop him around. And now these discussions have to happen. They haven't decided anything at this point. They still believe he has the potential to blossom into, basically a potential long-term star or at least like very solid starting center in the league. Would they make him available for the right, players coming back? Yes, but is Toronto going to make Pascal Siakam available? If the Sixers flame out of the playoffs, would Ben Simmons be available in a trade? Those are the type of players I think, would make them answer the phone on Wiseman. But the reality is you're selling low if you trade him right now because his value is only taking a dip in what was kind of a rocky, disappointing rookie season.
What about the draft picks? If they get Minnesota's, that's 2 first-rounders, relatively high. They don't keep both, correct?
They could. I think a lot of it is dependent on like what it would fetch back. I would guess just because 2 first-round picks means 2 roster spots being taken up by 2 rookies, that they would really kind of shop one of those around. But again, it's just kind of dependent on what that brings you back. Could you talk to Indiana about getting Miles Turner, a guy that they've kind of they last summer dangled out there? Could the 14th pick get him? Could the 8th pick get him? Something like that, maybe. But at the same time, I think you could maybe get like a Davion Mitchell from Butler. That's a 23-year-old who, to me, I watched the tournament. He might not have the ceiling of some of these 19, 20-year-olds, but he looks like a plug and play. You put him in, he'll give you, 20 good minutes on the wing or at the guard position, and you fill out your rotation with the rookie. But you have to trust the scouting that he can come in and play because Steph Curry and Draymond Green do not want projects on the roster.
Finally, Kelly Oubre, he's gone, sign a trade. What's going to happen with him?
We'll see. Some of that's dependent on like what other teams are willing to pay. If a team out there says they'll give Kelly Oubre $18 million, $20 million, he's gone. The Warriors aren't willing to pay that for a guy at this point. I think we all realize fits them better as seventh man, eighth man, ninth man, backup power forward, really. They tried to like fit him into starting shooting guard position. It just didn't work in their system. There was, it was rough behind the scenes by the end. They put him on the bench. I don't think he loved that very much.
The draft is not till July 29th. Kawakami gonna give you a little time off now?
Man, I was covering the Phoenix Suns LA Lakers game 1 today, watching Devin Booker, writing a little bit about that. So my time off usually comes in August, September after Summer League. Kawakami doesn't let me go till then.
He's a tough man to work for. Anthony, I appreciate it. Joining us from your home in Sacramento. We'll read you in The Athletic during the offseason. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.